This is the largest gathering of Bitcoiners ever in the world. I attended the first ever Bitcoin conference in 2013 in San Jose, California. And I can tell you, in less than 10 years, just to see how much Bitcoin in this space has grown is beyond what I could have ever have dreamed of or imagined. And this is just the beginning.
At this point in time, it just seems like it's taken off at a trajectory that I don't know that there's any way you can put this genie back in the bottle.
Welcome to Bitcoin Miami. You just can't ignore the sheer scale of it. Sometimes it feels like a music festival, but with venture capitalists, software engineers, and hedge fund managers.
I mean, 3 years ago, would you have predicted that Miami would be the most important city in America? That Miami would be kind of the capital of the world?
Miami, the Magic City, famous for its beaches and nightclubs. Now, add to that list Bitcoin and blockchain. A crypto culture has suddenly exploded here. The Florida destination that wants to be the center of the crypto revolution. Bitcoin 2022 on the convention floor in Miami Beach, Florida. You can look around and see a festival-like atmosphere. 25,000 people at this conference. That's double what it was last year. I can tell you, I was here in Miami for Bitcoin 2021, a much bigger turnout, more people, more energy, more enthusiasm for this space.
The energy, incredible positive energy, the diversity, you know, languages from all over the world, people flown in from all over the world.
This is a movement, right? This is not just a little backwater community anymore. Even the difference between Bitcoin 21 and Bitcoin 22, dramatic, right? First, this has moved to a giant venue, and it's much more organized. It's much more sort of what people think of as traditional.
So it's been incredible to see the mainstream adoption and awareness of Bitcoin. We're seeing not only technologists this year and longtime Bitcoin hodlers and crypto enthusiasts, but we're seeing people from all walks of life, even people coming as families to learn about what Bitcoin and what the crypto ecosystem is about.
Three, 2, 1. Welcome to the future of finance.
TradeStation commissioned an 11-foot cyborg-like statue of a crypto bull. This is meant to be Miami's answer to Wall Street's charging bull.
It is a monster that's out there. It's 3,000 pounds, 16 feet long, I think 9 feet high. We were founded in Miami 35 years ago, and so we've seen this community just grow. We didn't really have something that encapsulated this crypto capital that's happening down here.
Mayor Suarez basically said, hey, we welcome you here. Innovators, please come.
You know, Suarez put it on the map with having public funds from the city be invested as an asset. I think it means business growth. I think it means a solidification of those who are passionate advocates for freedom. And I think for the city, I mean, it's already exploded. We're big advocates of the Florida Business Blockchain Association, but we want to make sure that our state is pro-business, has the right sort of regulatory definitions, primarily, like whether it's money transmitter, monetary instrument, currency instruments, to make sure that companies that are coming into Florida don't come in blindly and get blindsided as they come in, and they can't run their business, they can't service their customers, and they can't broaden the bandwidth of access to crypto. So we owe it all to the legislators in Tallahassee, DeSantis, Suarez, because without the politicians that want and respect freedom that those types of transparent rules bring, but want to see the state do well, understand what blockchain and Bitcoin bring to the community.
People are moving to Florida in droves. The move was sparked by the COVID pandemic and the virtualization of work. But the shift seems to have become more permanent, driven by a lack of state income tax and the beautiful weather and quality of life.
Another thing that's happening that I've noticed is just how many mainstream financial services industry people are here, and they're permeating us. And what's funny is they really look at the world in a very, very different way. On my panel yesterday on banking, one of the panelists talked about the great technology that the banks have. And I just couldn't let that comment go. I thought, I really don't want to pick a fight, but I'm going to say something spicy and say, are you kidding me? The bank's technology is crappy. We literally wouldn't be here if the banks had good technology.
Many new investors were showing up for the first time, examining Bitcoin in the context of broader global macro trends and triangulating where Bitcoin fits into the bigger picture in macro policy, the future of financial services, and ESG.
As you can see here at the conference, everywhere, you see a lot of Bitcoin miners. One of the things that I think is really interesting about digital assets specifically is the part they can play in the energy transition. And so really thinking about how you tokenize carbon offsets, but not only that, how do you do it in a way that makes sense for the enterprises? And so we think about digital assets a lot on how you can actually continue to grow and make the carbon markets more robust.
There was a great Newsweek article on this, and it said Bitcoin is the most misunderstood industry. You know, everyone thinks the power is all dirty. Well, the cheapest power, which is really important, is clean energy. Like hydro, nuclear. If you can get that, you're incentivized to do it because it's so cheap. So the benefit of Bitcoin is it's not centralized, right? And everyone loves it for that reason. But it also makes it hard because there's not one talking point saying, here are the benefits of BTC and Bitcoin mining.
So the real action here happens after hours. Lots of people came down to Miami and skipped the conference altogether. They're just here for the parties. The price action of BTC as a financial asset is still volatile, a roller coaster ride. In the last 12 months, Bitcoin has whipsawed from below $30,000 to a hair's breadth under $70,000. But nonetheless, there's a huge amount of excitement and energy here on the ground. What does that excitement mean for the short-term price action of Bitcoin? Probably absolutely nothing. But there is also a palpable sense of people, especially younger people, intent on building a new world that doesn't exist today using Bitcoin as the core enabling infrastructure. They are keen to disrupt and dismiss all the old rules, especially everything that prior generations take for granted about how financial services and big tech work.
To me, this is really a lightning conference. I mean, certainly it's a Bitcoin conference, but by far the most interesting developments on the protocol side, which, let's face it, the engineers are the most important people in the industry. So you got to listen to the engineers. And what are they talking about? They're talking about Lightning.
Lightning network adoption is at the top of mind. You hear a lot about that. There's been a lot of interesting companies pitching new Lightning.
Okay, now add to all this the Lightning Network, which was one of the very hottest topics at BTC 2022. Lightning is a so-called level 2 network that can extend the functionality of Bitcoin in very important ways, specifically allowing the Bitcoin network to process near instantaneous payments and transactions for fees that are orders of magnitude lower than what users typically pay on the Bitcoin network today.
One of the big complaints about Bitcoin, or arguments why it couldn't be used as a medium of exchange, was that it was too expensive, right? And too slow. That's what they said. You can't wait 10 minutes for a transaction to confirm if you're trying to buy coffee. You can't pay, $5 for a transaction fee if you're buying a $5 coffee. That simply won't work. Well, Lightning is, a layer 2 network that solves both of those problems quite effectively. So transactions on the Lightning network, which are also distributed, decentralized, trust minimized, right? They don't require, we're not talking about updates on a bank ledger. This is a decentralized network that pegs to Bitcoin. Transactions there are fractions of a penny, and it's called the Lightning Network for a reason. We're talking essentially instant settlement globally. So it's faster than a credit card swipe. That's what they use in El Salvador.
Only way that money scales is through layering. And so we've got Bitcoin as a base layer, we've got Lightning as layer 2, now Taro and other layer 3 protocols coming. If you start running those on top of Liquid, now it's actually a 4-layer system. Now, we're thinking years ahead. There's still a lot of engineering work that has to get done in Lightning for this to go mainstream. But as we think about where the puck is going to be as opposed to where it is today, it's so clearly in the Lightning area.
There's a lot of interesting things going on in Lightning. I mean, I think Taro, there's a bunch of interesting protocol things that people are experimenting with now that we have Taproot. But there's also sort of like this decentralized web. I know the Web3 moniker has been like taken over by altcoiners or whatever, but there is an actual decentralized web being built on top of Lightning.
Just more on the payment processing side with the Lightning network, so you can go into many stores that are billion-dollar companies, and you can now conduct transactions and purchase things through the Lightning network with immediate settlement on layer 2 of Bitcoin.
I think Lightning, which allows us to use Bitcoin as a rail for the protocol nature, not the currency nature.
It is still an exponential curve, but it's still a pretty small adoption relative to all Bitcoin, but it's kind of like Bitcoin's layer 2 solution, basically. You put transactions in the Lightning Network and it can go through way faster because it doesn't settle on the main chain until you close out the channel or close out a Lightning channel. So until that happens, the transactions are like way more fluid.
I can pay in cash or in Bitcoin using the Lightning Network. I think that's phenomenal. So I'm less in the payments business, so it doesn't affect me quite as much. But certainly the more we build upon all of these foundations, and whether it's a Bitcoin's foundation, Ethereum's foundation, we're finding more and more uses. And as obviously the uses become more interesting, we have to find ways to do things cheaper, more efficiently.
Lightning Network is routing the payments through the liquidity spots. And so we're going to need liquidity providers. And this is exactly what banks do.
Hey there, visionaries. Your free membership to Real Vision Crypto, the world's premier source for cryptocurrency and digital asset analysis, is available right now at realvision.com/crypto.